Okay, friends, in studio with us as promised, we have back to the Fargo-Moorhead area from New York City. This is the old El Paso commercials. You remember those, Andrew?
Yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
We have Andrew Scott, West Fargo native, traveled around the country and now back in Fargo. So good morning, my friend. Tell us all about you because you've been more fascinating than most with what you've done with your life.
I don't know about that. I've been blessed to be able to travel the country with jobs, with school. Everything. I got 3 kids that hone me down, got a wife that keeps me in line, and she said we need to move back to the Midwest, so I figured we'd go back to our Midwest roots.
Well, what were you doing out in New York? Because there's not many people who will take the leap from North Dakota to New York and then back to North Dakota.
Well, we wanted to live the big city dream, so I actually was out working at Goldman Sachs.
Wow.
Working in health and wellness, talking about benefit plan designs, talking about establishing a culture of well-being within the organization, and we realized that, you know what, you couldn't take the Midwest out of us. So it was very interesting being out there as a Midwesterner, and came back, and we cherished our experiences out there, but we're really glad to be back in the Midwest.
And so you've been back in the Fargo-Moorhead area for how long now?
We moved at the best time. We moved back in January.
That is the best time.
So my wife was concerned about, how are we going to move everything? I said, don't worry, we are going to get some renters or some movers to come in so I could sit back. I provided coffee, cookies, and then at the end I provided some adult beverages for them to refresh afterwards. But I just enjoyed watching them move in.
And so you came back to Fargo, and you actually worked with Hatch Realty to buy your house, right?
Yes.
You worked with Kyle Riedstrom on our team.
Yep.
What was your experience like buying a house in January and working with Kyle?
Well, what was really interesting is I knew I was coming back in November, and I actually flew back, was talking with Dakota Medical Foundation, and I just out of happenstance just called up Kyle, said, hey, can I start looking at homes? Because I knew that we were going to be back at some point. Super patient, came back in January. We actually didn't find a house that we wanted right away. So
Were you living in the basement of your parents' house?
I was actually, with 3 kids and a dog and a wife. It was not.
Oh my gosh.
I was in the doghouse.
And you still have a wife.
And I'm still married.
God
strongly.
bless her.
But so anyways, we actually rented a house right away because we didn't find a house that we wanted. I didn't want to rush into it. So Kyle was actually really patient. But the interesting thing is we loved the house we were at. I'm like, I don't want to move again. I'm just done moving. So I actually had him facilitate the transaction, which was an international transaction.
Right.
From what I heard was one of the first, or it was the first international transaction for Hatch. So I'm glad that we got to be part of that experience.
That's right. Were they Canadian? Is that the?
I don't know.
Is that as international as we get? Yeah.
I want to say it was London.
Okay, that's even cooler.
Yeah. So
not that Canadians aren't cool, but so really great that we were able to help you transition from staying in the same house essentially, but making it yours, and so you're paying your own mortgage payment. But you're not here just to live. You're here to work, and you're doing some great things at Dakota Medical Foundation. Help tickle the ears of our audience and let us know what you're doing.
Yeah, so I came back with the sole purpose of this job. I knew that I wanted this job, and the reason being is that Dakota Medical Foundation has a family of initiatives that have been developed to dramatically improve the health of our community.
Right.
They do Child Care Aware. They do Schools Alive. They've got Lend a Hand, which is families in medical crises.
Well, DMF is known a lot for things like giving Heart Stay and pouring in great money and facilitating charitable giving. But it's more than that, right?
Totally more. And one of the areas that we felt that there was a gap was working with the everyday adult that is working. And really, if we want to truly have an impact on the community, a lasting impact on the community, is we need to meet these individuals where they're at for the majority of their day, and that's in the workplace. So working with Pat Trainer, I was able to help establish this workplace wellness initiative known as P5 Performance. And my challenge to him is that, I've been on the vendor side, I've been on the client side doing workplace wellness. I wanted to do something different. And I said, how are we going to do that? And he really challenged me on, well, what would you do? And what I would do something kind of wildly non-traditional.
Okay.
We got to make it work. So traditional wellness programs are great. They work in the workplace. But I think it's more than that. And it's called P5 performance for a reason. There's 5 elements that healthy, high-performing organizations can really be distilled down into.
Now, I want to slow down just a second.
Yeah.
Folks, Andrew Scott with Dakota Medical Foundation in studio with us, and we're talking about the P5 performance plan. Is one of those P's chubby people doing yoga on Mondays? Because we do yoga at our office at 4 o'clock. And I'm just wondering, where does my chubby yoga guy regime fit into this?
It fits into practices.
Okay, good. So there are 5 P's you were getting into. What are those?
Yeah, the first one, and it's our core element, and that's purpose. Individual purpose needs to align to organizational purpose, and organizational purpose needs to align to societal need. So when an organization and the people within the organization have a truly identified sense of purpose, we know that they start to thrive. We know they thrive. We know the organization thrives, and when the organization thrives, the community thrives. So that's our core construct.
Purpose, absolutely.
And that's also part of charitable giving, volunteerism, that altruistic behavior.
Absolutely.
So that is our core pillar that we promote. Knowing that also helps build employee engagement, employee buy-in, employee morale. They're happier, they're healthier. So that's our second P is people. Taking care of the people will help take care of the organization.
Now, Andrew, you touched on the core of, I think, why we wanted you on Real Estate Radio is not just because it's what you're doing is fascinating, but you're creating predictability for sustainability in our economy and especially in our workplaces. And it's about pouring into people with intentional purpose.
Correct.
Right?
Yep. And again, that was I was hell bent with Pat saying that has to be the core construct. Without that, people don't buy in. They don't have a sense of fulfillment. And especially with the workforce changing today, us millennials, we're ready to jump ship to an organization and employer that does fulfill that need. So that is huge. That pulls into this second P, which is this people, getting people engaged. They're happier, they're healthier. They literally have lower chronic conditions and lower healthcare costs. So it's all starting to make sense on how it relates to wellness. The third P is places. Your workplace should be a place that supports thriving and well-being. It should be a place that is warm and welcoming, positive workplace culture, inspiring, motivating, that piece. So when we get to the fourth P, which is practices, so it is your yoga, and instead of individuals feeling like a traditional wellness program is done to them, it's done for them and with them.
Right.
So we've got these 3 things that predicate practices. So then they do have high engagement. They do have buy-in. They do want to do it because that's just the way it is here. And then the last P is policies. And the policies are not punitive policies. The policies are health-enhancing policies. These are an organization's way to show their commitment to the health of their employees. Maybe it's flex time. Maybe it's allowing time away so they can do wellness activities, whether it's meditation or it's exercise or it's your yoga or whatever. But maybe it's also having healthy food guidelines. Maybe it's these other things that exist to help kind of solidify that we have a sustainable culture of well-being.
Well, I would say this, Andrew, and we're almost out of time. And boy, you are passionate if that's one of the P's as well. It's really great. One of the things I've noticed is I have a friend who had reached out to me, and he's a realtor as well with the team. And he had said, you know what, my 2017 goal is I'm going to focus on my clients. It's clients first. It's clients first. And what I hear you saying is, no, you take care of your people. And when you take care of your people and you create a healthy, sustainable, vibrant, exciting place for them to be, everything else makes sense.
Yes, it falls in line. I mean, when you get healthy, happy, engaged employees that truly buy into the purpose of what we're doing within the organization, everything else falls into place. And I'm hell-bent on that. We are a purpose-driven organization, not a profit-driven organization.
Right.
And every organization, whether it's nonprofit or for-profit, can be a purpose-driven organization, and everything will fall into place.
I love that. Where can people learn more about this P5 Performance Initiative?
Yeah, p5performance.org is our site. And then also we do have an assessment coming out in September that every organization can take. It's complimentary. And the cool thing about it is you get a really big stack of feedback. It's quick, actionable, easy to implement tips on how to start addressing each of the Ps. And then if individuals have any further questions, they can definitely contact me, Andrew Scott at dacmed.org.
I love it. Andrew Scott, thank you so much. P5 Performance is where you want to go. Check it out. And in the meantime, while you're on the interwebs, check out livefargomoorhead.com. We'll be back after the break. This is Real Estate Radio with Erik Hatch.